Does carb tuning and jetting sound foreign to you, like some black magic? I used to think so. I didn't know anything when I started, but I was forced to learn it when I went out to the mountains, and I needed to do it if I wanted to have a bike that started and ran. And I wouldn't consider myself smart or a wizard. After a few years of selling my two-stroke jetting made easy guide and helping thousands of people on YouTube with their jetting, I've found that they're often making one of these 7 common mistakes that make jet tuning or carb tuning confusing. Some people with a frustrating symptom, whether it's a hanging idle or a bog, they often try cleaning the carb with some carb cleaner spray and then use compressed air. And while this can help, it's not going to fix any jet tuning issues, and if the carb is dirty, that carb cleaner isn't going to work on the really nasty stuff, and it can actually harm your carburetor because the harsh chemicals, they cause the rubber and the paper gaskets to break down, so you may end up having more problems sooner rather than later if you're trying to clean it with carb cleaner. Mistake number 2 is upgrading or trying to troubleshoot a problem and just ended up buying a cheap carb off of like Amazon or eBay, or, one of those knockoff ones for like 35 bucks. I've found from my experience, as well as many other people's experience, is that they often are very difficult to tune. That is, if they even work right away, because the build quality is so much lower than a genuine OEM carb. The jets are often not the right size, the circuits and the passages, they have like imperfections, and this makes it very difficult to tune or not run, or maybe it's leaking right away when you buy it brand new. This is why buying a knockoff carb can cause more headache than just trying to fix and tune your original carb, even if it's been sitting for 10 plus years. Mistake number 3 is making more than one change at a time. Maybe you have multiple symptoms, like it's rich and lean, and you're trying to fix both of them at the same time. Well, you make 2 or 3 changes, and then you find out that, well, one might be better, or maybe they're both worse, but how do you know which one affected which symptom? Well, you either have to guess again, or you have to start all over from zero, and it makes it confusing, makes it take longer. So that's why I always recommend making one change at a time so you know what it's affecting and whether it's getting better or worse. Mistake number 4 is just setting it to what the factory recommends. And while this can work, it's more of a good starting point, because if you've tried that and you still have symptoms with hard starting or bogging or poor throttle response, this is probably because you're riding in a different climate with different temperature or humidity or elevation, or maybe your bike has different mods, all of these causing the air and fuel mixture to be different than what the factory recommends based on how they tuned it. So use it as a starting point, but not as a final say, because every bike is a little bit different. Mistake number 5 is you can't tell if it's rich or lean if you have a symptom, so you're just guessing and hoping that it's right. Well, this is an easy way to get confused, because if it sounds lean and you go richer and it doesn't change anything, or it gets worse, then you're just going to get confused, or it's going to take a lot longer to solve the problem. Mistake number 6 is just following a jetting chart or tuning based off of what other people use based on your specific model, because every bike is a little bit different in how they're tuned, and depending on your climate as well as the mods that you have, all these things affect the air fuel mixture ratio. So copying someone's settings might be a good starting point, but it might not get you perfectly dialed in for an easy starting and crisp running bike. Mistake number 7 is just dealing with the symptoms and not doing anything about it because you don't know how, or you don't want to make the bike worse. There's very few things that I hate about dirt biking, but one of them is a poor running bike. Whether it's hard to start or poor throttle response, I hate it. And I hate it even more when I'm trying to train a new rider and they're just getting frustrated. And if you think carb tuning is too difficult, well, you should check out my next video here if it's out, or subscribe, because I want to show you why jet tuning is easier than you think. I'm Kelly Figure from MXHideout. Ride safe, have fun.